All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that everything is good. What the heck? It's not. Give me 1 second. All right, is that better? You guys hear me? Hopefully that fixed it. I was having some audio issues over here. So hopefully we'll be good now. All right. So good to see you guys. One of the things that I was going to tell you guys before we get started is, first of all, yes, good morning. We are going to talk about something that I posted for our members yesterday. So yesterday, Kelsey and I were having a conversation, and I just want to give her the credit because she's the one that really helped me piece it all together. So what we were talking about is basically Kelsey was like, why don't you cover other cases? Talk about really what it's like to be a part of a case like this. Because you've been involved, and now this is the 4th trial going into this. She said, you have a lot of insight and you can help other people by talking about what it's really like to be a part of it and just really be like more like a victim's advocate for other people. And then I thought, on top of that, if we're able to do that, I'm also able to reach out to those people and be able to have a safe place for them to come talk on the podcast, because that's always been the goal of the podcast, is to be able to give people a platform where they don't feel forced or, just kind of like in a position where they have to talk about all this stuff. So it just all kind of clicked. And this was all Kelsey's idea. So that's just what it was. And it was such a good idea because it just all clicked. Everything that we've been talking about on the channel and everything that we've been working on the channel, it just feels all like it all just makes sense to me. So she really, really helped me piece everything together that I've always wanted to do. And it was 100%. The way that she said it was her idea, and the way that she said it just made so much sense. So I told that for our members yesterday, and I think that is exactly where my heart is. I'd love to be able to also give advice to other people who are going through trials. It's not easy. There's not any media training. Like, there's things you're going to experience in other trials and people that you just don't know how to handle those situations. And that's something that I've had to live through. So a saying that I've been using lately for my kids that also applies in this situation is, sometimes you have to crawl on glass for others to walk in meadows, right? So I've crawled through the glass, and the lessons that I've learned can help someone else stay out of that same exact situation that I was in. So there you go. Let's read this one. Colby, a wild case right now. Sean P. Diddy Combs. I'm glad that Cassie has found her voice and able to testify. I can't imagine. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so one of the biggest things too is being able to talk about this stuff, right? The reason why we're talking about this trial again and why we're going to go jump in and watch this stuff together is I haven't ever fully faced the trials until going to trial for Charles. And even then, I was only there for maybe 3 to 4 days out of the entire thing. And I think that I was so scared of the details, and there was so much pain. And then, I've been telling you guys straight up, like, I've been like, hey, we are going to move forward. We are going to move on. And then I was like, well, if I talk about this stuff, is this going to be hindering to healing for me and others? And then I thought to myself, the healing comes from the fact that I can now face it full on, and it's not going to cause me to go into an absolute rampage after. So now I realize that the healing and facing that stuff is exactly what I've been talking about in the videos. This is exactly what we've been covering, is facing it head on and moving forward. And that's how you're able to actually know that you've dealt with it. So we're going to deal with this the best that we can. We're going to talk about this trial. We're going to go through it, and we're going to talk about just a different perspective. And honestly, right now, in all of this stuff, Brandon is the one that is the victim here. Brandon deserves justice for what happened. If it would have been a few inches over, Brandon wouldn't be here for his family, and he wouldn't have the legacy that he's building. And I hate to put it that way because it's so blunt, but like, you have to understand the context here and how hard this really is for them. And so um, that's what's going to be really crazy, is that Brandon is actually the only living victim here, and Brandon deserves to have justice, and Brandon deserves to be recognized for the fact that it would have only taken a few seconds for him to lose his life. And I'm sure he's grateful every day that he's alive. And I'm grateful that he's alive. And I wish everybody else was. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So to have someone who's living have to stand and face this, I want to give him a lot of support. And I want him to know that I have his back. And that's going to be the biggest point, is we're here to stand up for people who are going through it currently. And I can't explain to you guys the emotional toll. It's very emotional. It's very hard to go through this. So, you know, we're going to pull this up. We're going to open this up. We're going to have this ready. Oh, have her just sitting there. We'll make that bigger when we go through. I do too. And I didn't even go through what Brandon did, but I would imagine, I don't want to speak for him. I don't think that that's fair, but I think that he probably, as all of us, just feel that it's not, it's almost like you just don't know how else to explain it. You feel like you don't deserve to have made it through. I think Brandon deserved to have made it through. Obviously, I think everybody did. But unfortunately, that's just something you have to live with as a victim of something like this. And I think for me, what hurts and breaks my heart for Brandon the most is the PTSD that comes with it. Like, if I were in that situation, because I'm already really like, hi, Ava. What are you doing? You're so cute. This is Ava. She just came in to say hi. Hi, honey. Are you okay? She's wearing her beautiful ballerina dress. So with Brandon, the PTSD that he must be feeling every time he does anything, whether he goes through a just turns around, getting out of the car, like those types of things are very real. And that's what we talk about in our videos, is the PTSD. And it's really, really got to be hard. And I imagine that you just don't ever, I know what it feels like. And I wasn't even directly involved in the sense of like being threatened or having those actual things. But the PTSD is so bad for me that I have my guard up and fight or flight. And that's something I've had to learn how to deal with. But if it actually happened to you, there would be so much PTSD. And I feel for him, and he knows that I love him. And it's just an unfortunate thing that you live with, that you have to learn how to cope with. And that's just what it is. She is a little cutie. She came in here with her little ballerina dress. So one of the things the girls do is they wake up and they immediately need to get dressed. So they get usually in a princess dress or like some type of thing. Brandon, when they went through Lori's Idaho storage building, they found some of Colby's stuff too, like a Colts jersey with Colby's name on it. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, I didn't even know that jersey was in there until I saw the pictures. So I've waited for an idea of what's going to happen with that stuff, because I don't know what the plan is there. So that's something I'll have to check into, because I want to know what we're planning on doing with all that stuff. It'd be nice to have some of their stuff left. Unfortunately, like I've told you guys before, I think that what happened last time was, sorry, let me switch this over. What happened was we used to have we had pictures and videos and stuff, but I don't know what happened. Like, Lori just threw everything out, and that's just always been her thing. She just threw away everything. So like when we moved houses, she would just get one of those huge like city trash bins, and instead of like giving stuff away or whatever the case is, it was like just toss it. So when we moved from Chandler to Hawaii, she did that. And I'll never forget, so many people lined up in their trucks and were going through the bins and loading their trucks up and leaving, because we were throwing away furniture, couches, TVs, like And I remember thinking to myself, this is the most wild thing ever. Like, we're literally throwing this stuff away. And so she also did that with pictures. Like, when I tell you I have like no pictures, I have no pictures. And that's why it's so precious to have what I have, because I didn't even start taking pictures and keeping them until I was like, I don't know, 18, like actually keeping them, right? Like all my old phones would break and then I'd lose everything. So I don't have like a history or a any pictures of like growing up with my family. So you married a diving through. That's funny. Yeah, she wants to dumpster dive. Yeah, I don't like swimming in the dumpster. I'm gonna pass on that one though. Appreciate you guys. We're just waiting for this trial to get going. Like I said, I think what the best part of what we're gonna do when we talk about these other cases, and the one that's been on my heart, if I'm being honest with you guys, is the Frankie case, because I have seen her older kids talking, and I just feel for them. And I remember when Sherry shared her story, she said that she was watching the Netflix documentary. And when she brought that up, she said that that's what she thought was going to happen to her family. And so like there's just this there's this connection and understanding of just something very similar. And so I really feel for them. And there's just always been like an understanding of that situation because it's so similar. So, but like when I bring it up, it's because the reason I think I've been so hesitant to talk about other cases is because I want to be respectful and sensitive, because it's real life. And I know it's hard to connect all of that stuff, especially when it comes to the genre of people who talk about crime. It's hard to remember that the people who are involved, the victims that survived or the victims that are around the family members, like those are the people who it's their real life. And I know what that feels like to have it talked about when you're hurting and it just feels so crappy and you just wish that it wasn't so hard. And so I just have that approach of like trying so hard to make sure when I talk about things, it's very respectful and understanding, and that we remember that these are human beings first. And that's going to be the main thing, is giving people also after a platform if they feel comfortable enough to come and have a conversation. So I think that's going to be really good. So I don't know if they are now. I don't know what her kids believe now, but yes, they were a LDS family that basically the same type of things where you start LDS and then you branch into these books and then the same kind of beliefs, where what we're going to talk about too, there's actually a couple stories that I've heard which are very similar. And really what we'll cover too is there's a lot of people for some reason throughout history that have this notion where they can justify unaliving people over the fact that they think that they're demon possessed. And what makes it really interesting about that point is, if you say you know and follow Jesus Christ, the simplicity is Jesus delivered people from demons. He never took their life, and he never had to bring someone back because a demon hijacked or kicked them out. So there's this one belief system of people being able to justify what they're doing with a spiritual, let's just call it spiritual because it's not always like, it's not godly, it's spiritual idea that a demon has overtaken someone. And so therefore, if you do something after that, you're not hurting the person, you're hurting the demon, you're taking care of a demon. So basically it's like you're justifying it, right? And I hate to bring this up because it's a very sensitive topic, but this is like, because I am such a history buff and like I've always been so interested in history, I really like to know and understand the psychological side of things. And what I always try to like understand from a historical perspective is someone like Hitler. Hitler, how did he do that? How did he convince people that other people were less than human and that you were superior? But if you look at that exact thing of what people were willing to do with the belief system that you're superior and they're inferior, it's always a justification for taking people's lives. And that's the same thing that I've heard in these other cases where people treat other human beings less than human because there's a superior complex and you're inferior. So it's really all kind of the same ballpark, just different perspectives. And what is crazy is to actually go down the path of doing something like that, to actually go down the path of taking a life, you have to either be a psychopath with zero emotion, zero empathy, no connection to the real world, and you're able to just do it, versus I have a reason, this is why. And that's exactly what I've been discovering more in researching more about my family, is how did they get to that point? And it's a mental thing. It always starts mentally, and then actions follow the mental turn from human to inhuman. And that's how you keep going on. Because, like, my biggest point is, how in the world could you possibly take someone's life, especially your own children, and then you absolutely don't have any remorse, and then you're still justifying yourself, and now you're still here? So that's kind of the point. I think that it's really interesting because this is happening outside of my family's case. This is happening outside of what happened to my family personally. There's other people who are going through similar situations, and that's what we're going to talk about. And that's how we're going to address this stuff, and that's how we're going to figure it out. And that's what we're going to walk through, is all these different things. Thank you, Pearl. We got some new warriors out here now. Amen, Colby, you're so right. You have no right to play God even when he doesn't do those things. Exactly. They're playing God, and that's another big justification. The only way for you to play God is to have a complex that you are better than other people. So you have to put yourself in a superior point. And we're going to make, I'm going to post this for you guys, but we're going to talk and dive a little bit into Chad's mental state. And because I've been learning a lot, and this is where the perspective comes, because when Sherry said that about watching the documentary and how it was a ringer for her, it struck a chord with me that I also would love this channel to be an alarm system and a red flag for other people. So if we dive into other symptoms and things that other people have done, it could hopefully save someone's life down the road. And I know that sounds dramatic, but that's how I look at it. If we're able to point out certain things, like things that maybe I grew up dealing with, and then seeing that, and you're able to identify those same exact factors, you're able to be aware of the situation rather than just be blindsided. You know what I mean? And that's a hard thing to talk about. It really is. So hopefully we'll be able to do a lot of good. And that's the goal. Colby, where can I send you an email or a letter? I have an email. Let me type it in there for you guys. I'll type it into the chat. That way you guys have it. This is the channel's email for you guys if you have questions or anything of that nature. There it is. I just put it in the chat. It's askcolbyj@gmail.com, and you guys can send your emails to that. We've had some wild emails, but that's just what it is. So let me pin it for you guys. Kelsey's right. Anyway, how are you guys doing today? There you go. It's askcolbyj@gmail.com. Also, we got some good news. So yes, we're going to talk about some hard stuff today, but we have some really good news. The good news is we are moving. And this is a crazy story. I'm not going to get into every detail, but the craziest thing is we went to go see a house that had this one room that was like a perfect studio, basically. And we were super interested in the house because of the studio room that we saw on Zillow. And so we get there and we find out that the guy is also in media and built it as a studio. And so I was like, there's no way in the world that that happened. So it's going to be really cool. It's going to be happening in the next couple weeks. So what we're trying to do right now is just prepare for that. I'm going to be making a lot more videos for you guys. Kind of like what I told you with the villain video. We're going to have some more videos like that. And then we're also going to go back to having a live schedule. So I'll publish all of that on the community tab for you. But one of the days, it'll just be a completely different background and it's going to be really cool. So I'm excited for that. Thank you guys. I'm excited for you to see it. It's really, really it's a very cool studio. So like I'm geeking out. I'm such a nerd for that stuff. Like the background and everything is going to be incredible. And it was literally built as a studio. So I think there's something cool and special about that it was literally made to be a studio in that way. I'm really excited for it. What it also does is it frees up more for me to be able to be here to talk more about this stuff, to be able to do more lives, things of that nature. It just gives me more of a real opportunity to use a studio for what it was meant to be. And so that's going to be kind of the focus too, is like being able to talk to you guys more and spend more time doing stuff like this and just connecting with you, because lives are definitely one of my favorite things to do. But I also like now making the videos for you guys where I don't have to explain things in context. I can show it to you. So that's going to be fun. We are building a house. What the heck is this? There we go. I did not press a button. It went straight to someone else. I've been seeing that girl all over X. I have not paid attention to her case. I don't know who that is. I forgot her name. But I keep seeing her smiling. So I have no idea who she is. Yeah, see, the thing is, too, when we start having these conversations about all these other cases, I want to dive in enough to give you guys her name is Karen. I didn't want to misspeak and say she was a Karen. All right. And there's nothing wrong with the name Karen, but I didn't want to say if I was just thinking in my head she was a Karen. Okay. Just want to be there. But with that being said, I almost called her a Karen. But I was like, what if I'm misspeaking and that's not her real name and I just made it up in my brain? Okay. Now, back to what I was saying. What in the world's going on here? What is happening here? It is unavailable. Court TV just shut down the stream. What the heck is going on here? All right, let's try East Idaho News. Whoa. What happened? What the heck just happened, brother? What are y'all doing to me? It's gone. What the heck just happened? We're looking into it right now. We got the tech team over here. I don't know what happened, guys. Court TV shut down. Shut down. Yeah, they just went to Karen Reed and got rid of their live. That was weird. Well, chat, what do you think? That's a good idea. I wonder what happened. Yeah, that because they had it live. You guys saw it. We were watching that live. We're streaming the live side. And we'll see what it's on private. Hintrukrum. Hintrukrum. What's a krum? Let's try that. Man, I cannot type, huh? Well, getting through crime, huh? What happened with Court TV, though? That's just really weird. That was weird. Why did they make it private? And why would they have it public first? Is East Idaho News not doing it? Oh, brother. All right, well, I don't know what to tell you. Frick this. Miss Rachel. All right, let's try Hidden True Crime. All right, we'll try this for a minute. We'll see how it goes down. You guys saw that. That was weird. We'll try to figure out what's going on. Okay. They're going to start a new one. Anyway, what I was going to say is, okay, what I want to do is I want you guys to start emailing suggestions of different things because I know what I want to cover right now, but I'm also open to hearing from you guys always. Like, that's why I post polls on the community tab. That's why we talk about it, because I want to also be open to what you guys would love to talk more about. And if I can get enough information and educate myself enough that we can talk more about those things. Because like I said, one of my biggest things I try to do is not jump into something without the knowledge and talk about it. It's just not fair, and it's not something that I want to do. Is there music? Plug this in. What is going on today? Okay, let's try Fox 10. We are on a total journey today, huh? Where? Live now. Winds howling as fire heads towards city. And live webcams. That's not what we want. Is this it? Oh, there you go. I don't know what's going on here. All right, well, sheesh. What do you guys think? What is going on here? All right, there we go. Now we can hear it. All right, Court TV's back. Man, we are on a journey freaking hell today. Court TV, let's try you again. If you do this to me again, Court TV, we're going to have a conversation about this later. What the frack? All right, we're going back to Fox 10, and that's it. We're going to leave it there. I'm not going to touch it again so I can see your guys' chats because this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Daybell.
Oh, it's on. It's on. Frack.
All right. We have a number of things to discuss and get through here today. First,
all right, can you guys hear it?
For new trial, the defendant filed.
Why would Court TV go quiet with it? Why'd it pause?
I received the
Come on
response.
now.
I think the reply is.
We're having some serious difficulties over here.
Is that being filed?
Yes, Your Honor, I have it right here. And
Is it ready to be filed?
yes,
Okay, we'll file that. You have a copy for the state?
I do.
Okay. The response, I'll take a look.
Oh, I thought
or
she
the
was
reply, I
crying.
should say. I'll
Well, I've
take a
been
look at
first.
The next thing I wanted to discuss was the state had filed a notice of intent to use defendant's other acts to establish conspiracy,
The audio's really low.
and or establish motive pursuant to
Let's see
Rule
if I can fix it.
404B. In your pretrial statement, you indicated you wish to strike or withdraw that.
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's withdrawn.
Volume's all the way
Next,
up.
we have states
It must
request
just be their
preclude the media
feed.
from showing the face of a testifying witness, one of the witnesses. I'm assuming you don't really have a dog in that fight, Ms. Daybell? Or do you have a response?
I don't have a dog in the fight, but I haven't had a chance to read over. I just got the stuff, so I'm not really sure what to ask for.
Well, one of the witnesses also works in an undercover capacity, and showing that witness's face could compromise other investigations or things that that witness is doing. So it's a request to not broadcast his face through the media out into the public.
And is this witness FBI or something to that effect?
It's Nicholas Balance. I think he is an FBI agent.
Correct, he is an FBI agent.
And he's a relevant witness because of why?
According to the state's notice, he created a PowerPoint regarding some of the Wi-Fi or cellular data
Cellular
location.
and Wi-Fi use, yes.
I have no real objection to him being obscured. I don't know how they'll do it, but
All right, so I'll direct the media during trial when witness Nicholas Balance is called to testify. They can't broadcast his face out. They can focus the lower part of the witness stand or something like that, but his likeness or
Yes, she's
should
literally
not be broadcast
really
out
representing herself again.
to the public. So I'm essentially granting the state's
Master
request in that
volume.
regard. Next, we have
Is a Chrome extension. You can
state's
download to
amended
raise volume.
request for Rule 609 hearing and the defendant's response. When I read the amended request, you're simply adding
I did see
the
that.
most recent conviction.
I haven't followed her
correct?
case though.
Yeah.
You didn't really respond to that in your reply. You kind of just talked about the previous reply that you had made about. Did you notice that she?
Yeah, it's really
asked
quiet.
Basically, add your most recent conviction.
I saw that, but I didn't know what the law was since I wasn't sentenced for that yet. So I wasn't quite sure where to go on that, so I left it off.
Okay, with the 609, I think it's similar to the last trial. I'll put that off, and depending on if you testify or not, it only really becomes relevant if you decide to testify. So we'll table that for the time being. Next, I have the state's
Right.
motion limited for inadmissible evidence relating to Cami Batchik, who is a evidence scene technician type person from the, I think it's the handbook. Did you, or, sorry, Gilbert, did you have a chance to review that?
I just got it, and I am in the middle of responding to that. But I do have a request in that regard from the state, since it was, given to us, and I'm sure that the state had that information clearly before now. We need additional information, and due to that late disclosure, I was gonna ask the state if they could disclose to us the records of Tammy and the emails regarding this incident, the recordings or body cam videos, so that we don't have to have one investigator try to do an investigation so quickly. If they have that information, it could be turned over to the defense, so that we don't have to try to gather that information so quickly.
Why is the buffering so bad? We're having so many tech issues lately. It completely stopped on us. What is going on? There we go.
You're necessarily entitled to all those things that's deemed that incident is irrelevant to her testimony. So I think the threshold issue is if you want to file a response, that is relevant, something you can get into, an incident that happened 4 years later. I guess when can you file your response?
Any further information? I don't know when is that response necessarily due, Your Honor.
It was about May, or technically it's already passed due. So can you file it by next, you have a copy of it now,
I just got a copy, correct.
right? How about next Wednesday, the 1st?
Yes, can do that.
All right, so we'll
And
set aside,
as well, I make an motion on the sealing. Can I ask under what law, rule, or statute that this motion was sealed under?
it wasn't filed under because of the nature of the motion and the contents of what that incident is, not needing to necessarily be in the public eye. So if you want to include in your motion an objection to it being filed under seal, you can do that as well.
Okay,
So you'll file that no later than May 21st. I don't need a reply on that. I'll deal with that, I guess, probably our first day of trial or so.
so you're not going to set a 609 hearing?
This is not a,
Oh, not the 609, but a hearing for Tammy Lachik?
I can listen to oral argument when you filed your reply, but I don't believe I needed any sort of hearing on it. So I'll deal with that
The ankle shot every
May
time.
29th or 30th.
Hey, at least we asked Nate. At least we asked Nate why that happens.
All right, then we have the defendant's motion for no restraints in trial dated May 6th. I don't know, in your motion, I don't know where you get the idea that the sheriff's office recommendation ever was that you have no restraints.
How fast was that?
Their minimum recommendation was that you wear a rack belt.
Shackle
Yeah, I
shot.
have it right here and I copied it verbatim.
There you go. Shackle
Yeah,
shot.
you said, what it said was my recommended minimum requirements as listed above, and those were to wear a rack belt.
It said, or the recommendation of MCSO was that they could have a unarmed detention officer and an armed deputy sheriff if I was to not have any restraints.
Right, but that wasn't their recommendation. I've received the defendant's motion.
He
I've
does.
received non-party
It's like on his
Maricopa
list of
Sheriff
shots
Gary
for the day.
Sheridan's Response.
On the MCSO security justifications, my understanding is that was his recommendation.
Your Honor, Joseph V. Hill for the Sheriff's Office. If you have any questions.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll deny the motion from the defendant. The same conditions will be set that we had in the first trial, that being you wear the rack belt, no leg brace. There was one incident during the trial where you asked to take a break because a strap was hanging down behind your jacket. We did that. We rectified the situation. There's been no indication whatsoever that the jury noticed the rack belt or anything like that. So I think those conditions are appropriate and will remain for the second trial.
Your Honor, the jury was not polled to see if they noticed anything either. Was that correct?
Right? There was no request for that. All right, so next we have defendant's motion to consult with advisory council and team during trial dated May 6th. I don't know, I guess, what exactly are you requesting? Are you requesting that during the lunch recesses, you be housed somewhere where you can meet with your team?
Correct.
Okay.
And I know that it's a DO situation, and I know that our DO has his other obligations to do, so I didn't know if another officer could if something could be arranged so that I would have time with my team during those breaks and during lunchtime.
We did accommodate that during breaks and recesses during the trial. to the extent that it doesn't delay the jury getting into the courtroom and resuming the trial when we need to, like when we take the 15-minute afternoon recess, that will continue. You'll have an opportunity to meet with them briefly. Over the lunch hour, I think is the real question. I did receive a response this morning from the sheriff's office, which indicates they don't really have an objection to that. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor. There is an area on the fourth floor in the South Court Tower where she can be taken to meet with her advisory council, and they'll work that out.
All right. I don't have a problem with that. So
Hmm.
if you need to meet with them when we break for lunch, just indicate to the DO that's what you need to do. There may be a day where you don't need to meet with them, but I'll essentially grant. Ms. K, I don't assume you have an issue with that.
I have no
All
position on
right,
it.
so I'll grant the defendant's motion on that she can meet during the lunch hour. Again, the only restriction on that is that we're not going to delay bringing in the jury at 1:30. We'll expect everyone back in the courtroom to start on time. All right, let's talk about
Yes.
the trial schedule and the screening. I received in the state's pretrial statement. Have you seen that?
I just did, yes.
Your Honor, may I be
Yes,
excused?
go ahead. Thank you. The state's pretrial statement indicate there was some witness scheduling issues. If we get the jury sat on the 30th and impaneled on the 30th, the last Friday in May, and we have our opening statements and begin testimony and evidence Monday, June 2nd, you indicated that the state indicated you would run out of witnesses either Wednesday or sometime Thursday.
Correct. That are available that week, yes.
Right, and then you,
Hmm.
so we'll definitely go dark on Friday the 6th. I had initially indicated we would be in trial on that day, but if we can't have any witnesses here, we'll be dark on that day and we'll indicate that for voting purposes for the jurors. I think we'll still indicate that we'll be in trial on the 5th and we'll have to play that by ear. Maybe we will be dark, maybe we won't. But as far as when you resume on the 9th, you said you thought you would have 3 witnesses left at that point?
Correct.
Do you
I wonder if she's gonna call
anticipation?
anybody.
Are those witnesses that would each take a whole day, or?
I think it's possible I could finish that day.
So ultimately what I'm getting at is trying to drill down the schedule and screening for the jury. Do we not need to screen them for the week of the 23rd?
Obviously, I just received the defendant's 15.2 that lists 2 different expert witnesses. I did request that they actually comply with Rule 15.2 and give me any information about any of these experts. They've also listed other witnesses. So because of that, I would still screen them for the other week.
Well, maybe we should address that. Is there still no report from Lonnie Dworkin?
Shut up, not
I have received nothing.
Lonnie.
Do you have some sort of expert report you were disclosing?
We will, Your Honor, yes.
Not Lonnie.
Because it's way past due.
So the state did receive the affidavit from Lonnie explaining the things, which is why they turned over late discovery in the middle of the trial.
Not
We did
Lonnie.
that. He's working on a few things for us as well now, and I will get with him as soon as possible and get that report to you as soon as possible.
Just dorking around.
Well,
We're not
it's-
making fun of Lonnie
Depending on what's in that report.
as the person.
It is likely to be precluded at this point, but I'll keep an open mind on that, and I guess we'll wait and see. Let's talk
She's a
about,
horrible lawyer.
For the purposes of scheduling,
Your Honor, and just, there's one other person that I
I'm-
Googled.
I'm
that-
going to ask her about the other
Okay.
witnesses. I received your supplemental witness list, I think yesterday. You have, in addition to Mr. Dworkin, you have Weaver, Barkman, again, Detective Moffett, Jeffrey White, Melanie Gibb, and Zulema Pastanas.
Zulema Pastenas.
Okay.
She didn't even call anybody last time, so what is she? She doesn't know what she's doing.
Was Detective Moffett also involved in this case?
He was involved with the case agent of this case while he was the case agent of the other case, correct?
Okay. So he may or may not have, he may have relevant
Yeah.
information. Again, I guess that's a wait and see.
I
What
wonder
about
why.
Who's Weaver Barkman?
I need
So
to
he's
start
a
writing down my
ballistics
notes.
expert?
I'm gonna write down my notes.
Is
I'm
that
still
an
paying
expert?
attention.
So that's an expert. Do you have an expert report that's been disclosed?
Not yet, Your Honor. We're working on it.
I'm writing down
Your
notes,
Honor, since
guys.
I've not noticed a ballistics expert, that's a big problem, because if I get something, then I would have to do that. So the defendant's, again, extremely late violation
Why?
of all
Why
rules of
Zulema and Melanie get?
criminal procedure is a problem.
She wants her
It is
moment
a
still.
problem. Who's Jeffrey White?
My investigator.
Oh, okay. And do you have an idea of in what capacity you think he would be called?
Well, we had made a request from the state for the car door and the window that the bullet supposedly hit. and
Supposedly?
We were going to have him inspect that as well. We have recently found out that those two things do not exist. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're going to be putting up as far as ballistics in their case in chief. So I was trying to have someone who could be able to look at whatever reports they're trying to put up and rebut anything that they're saying.
Is Mr. White an expert in that area?
Mr. Weaver?
We calling Walter White to the stand or what?
He's my investigator.
Right, that's who I was asking, who has relevant information. What's Mr. White's relevant information for, why might he be called as into trial?
Because he's interviewing the witnesses as well, the defense witnesses.
So is it some sort of extrinsic impeachment if they,
Correct.
She's
What
so
about
bad at
Melanie
her
Gibbs?
So
job.
Melanie Gibbons and Luna Pastenas were both initially noticed in the state's 15.1. They have not noticed them again. I don't know if they can still call them if they're on their list, but
have you,
they have relevant information
watch
to
that.
this case.
have they been presented for an interview by the state?
They've both been interviewed multiple times by the state.
I mean, not by police officers, I mean by either a prosecutor or someone in her office for, in preparation for trial,
In this case,
in either case.
not that I'm aware of.
Have they been subpoenaed?
The subpoenas are out.
So yes or no? I get so flustered with her talking. It's just hard.
They have relevant information to Brandon Boudreaux
Okay.
and around that
What
time.
is the nature of that relevant information?
It will come apparent if they have to get up and testify, Your Honor. I will only call them if I need
Well, they
them.
should be precluded if you can't give me some minimal, what relevant information they have. Just saying that they're relevant doesn't make them relevant,
Here we go.
okay?
This dude.
Yes, and there's this procedure that I have to say what each of my witnesses are relevant ahead of time and give my whole case in chief
Yes.
over to the state. It is?
Yeah.
That's
just
how
like-
it works?
like
That's
the-
the rules of law?
Stop interrupting me. Yes.
Oh,
That is the rule of law. That's just what the state does. They tell you what relevant information each witness has.
Oh, shoot.
So my answer is yes. So if
Damn.
you can't tell me what relevant information they have, they'll be precluded.
They both have had dealings with Brandon Boudreaux and Alex Cox. So
Okay, so does someone, that was a server for them at a restaurant. It doesn't make them have relevant information as to this case. Anyone who came into contact with Mr. Boudreau or Mr. Cox had some interaction with them. at some
It's so
point in their
clear,
lifetime
Lori.
does
Just
not
listen to
make
what he's
them a
saying.
relevant
This is what she doesn't do.
witness.
She
So
doesn't listen to
what is
anything
the
you say.
relevance?
Her
the
mind's made
state
up.
had them on their witness list and they're saying they're not relevant?
Apparently not. Are you calling them?
No, they're not
Right.
on my,
Police interview however many people they interview because they're working on the case. They don't know who has relevant information, who doesn't have relevant information. All the people that they interview don't end up being relevant. So because they're
Why does
listed
he
in a
ha-
police report somewhere,
This is
doesn't necessarily
this is like what I was like growing up.
Okay, their relevance lies in if I have to rebut something that the state puts on in their case in chief.
He
They're just called in case they need them. They're subpoenaed in case I need them.
all right. It sounds like they don't have relevant information.
Thank you.
However, I'll include these names on the potential witness list for screening the jurors.
She
if
does.
The jurors have any knowledge of any of these witnesses out of an abundance of caution. That's really the purposes for today is
She doesn't have
the
any idea what
questionnaire that goes out to the
she's
jurors.
doing at all.
So I will include these witnesses. Again, Mr. Dworkin, Mr. Barkman, if they're expert witnesses that haven't provided any sort of report
100%.
or expert witness testimony,
Thank you,
They're-
Summer Girl.
likely to be
Appreciate
precluded
you.
as witnesses. But I'll include them on the witness list. I think what I'm hearing is you said you might finish on
What's
the
up,
9th or
Taz?
the 10th. I'm going to indicate on the questionnaire to the jurors, potential jurors, that the trial is likely to end by June 13th, Friday, June 13th. However, I'll include that Monday, the 23rd and kind of say, if needed or if required, might go to June 23rd out of an abundance of caution.
Yes.
So I'll finalize that questionnaire. It's pretty much done, and it's pretty much the same as the
You
last
can't.
one, except for the names of the witnesses, the specific allegations, and then I removed the question about viewing medical examiner
I don't know what that noise came out of my mouth was.
autopsy type photos because that's not needed in this case. But I'll send you guys out a copy. Actually, I could probably finish it in the next couple minutes and print out a copy so you have it before you leave here today. That questionnaire, I need to get with the jury office.
I don't know why that came out of my
We
mouth.
were talking about sending it out the 22nd and cutting it off the 28th or 27th. And then we'll meet again on the 29th in this courtroom to go over the responses. That'll be at
Thank you, Rebecca.
1 p.m. on the 29th.
Your Honor, in light of the juror misconduct or the alleged juror misconduct, I have to object to us having so much information go out about my personal information in that jury questionnaire. Do you not think that was a problem?
What personal information?
The state versus Lori Daybell.
What's the name of the case?
Yeah, but you don't put that on anyone else's questionnaire or one other person that's ever had that questionnaire ever put out with their name on it. They just don't do it.
Do it in every trial I've done.
And the people are just going to Google it, and then we're going to have the same exact problem we had getting a jury for that case. We're going to have the
She's a-
same exact problem.
Are you done?
She's so freaking rude.
Are you just gonna?
There you go.
Okay. How do we?
Are you done?
Heard about you if we don't include your name.
He said, "Are you done?" Oh.
You have a response to that?
I'm just saying, you gave them the name, and they're just going to Google it.
They're instructed not to Google it. All right. And if you'll recall, when we had all the jurors come in person, one of the first questions I asked them in the afternoon was, who has looked up this case since you filled out the questionnaire? And we had 2 or 3 people raise their hand, and those people were excused. So I have to include your name to screen out for the people that know about your case. And we released about 100 jurors last time because of their answers to that. If we don't include your name, that's 100 extra jurors we have to go through in person and ask if they know you. And in fact, that increases the risk of tainting the rest of the jury pool. If we have someone stand up and say, yeah, I know about her case in Idaho where blah, 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 in front of the rest of the jurors, that'll burn the whole panel. We'll have to start over. So I'm going to include
I'm
your
proud of
name
this
in the
judge.
questionnaire. I don't think there was any other personal information or background information about you in that questionnaire other than your name. So was there any other issues you had with the questionnaire?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah.
So the schedule
Be
will
humble.
We'll meet 1 p.m.
Sit down.
to go over those answers on the 29th. On the 30th, we'll meet at 10, we'll have walk-in jurors that morning that will fill out the questionnaire. And then the people that survive.
Are you done? Or are you gonna keep going? That was what she
screening on the
needed. That
29th, and those that survived the morning of the 30th will come in the afternoon of the 30th. This will be back in the courtroom we were in last time, 5D of the South Court Tower.
wow.
Again, I expect to seat that jury that some point that afternoon.
Pouting. She's not being humble.
And then we'll plan on going.
She just
Monday
knows she
to
can't get away with
Thursday,
it.
June 2nd to June 5th. Then June 9th to June 13th, and if need be.
That was the
June
best thing.
23rd.
She needed that so bad, bro.
Your Honor,
Yes.
Oh
I
boy.
would have to ask that you would recuse yourself from the obvious personal bias that you have against me and send us to master calendar for this scheduling of a trial.
And what personal bias is that?
Oh.
A lot, obviously, the personal bias that you're showing right now and that you've shown on the FTR several times during the trial.
Okay, well,
What?
I don't have any personal bias. All right. I've over accommodated you on when you have to disclose things. In fact, your expert should be summarily precluded today, and I haven't done that. All right. So
You denied every single one of my motions since for a year and a half that I've been here. Every single one of my motions has been denied. And have any of those motions not have merit? You've denied every single motion.
I think I was here this morning about 15 minutes ago when I granted your motion to meet with your attorneys over the lunch hour. I have granted other motions of yours. Okay.
That's the first motion that you've ever granted
Well,
in my behalf.
file motions that have a legal basis, and I might grant them.
So you're saying none of my motions have had merit?
Not many, no.
What
None of
is
the motions that my first team, you denied every one of my first team's motions. You denied every one of my second team's motions. And now you denied every one of my motions.
Because
So
you
did I.
suck.
Denied every one of your motions.
Every single one of their motions was denied. Every single one of the second team's motions were denied, and all mine. So you didn't come into this with any bias against me in the first place?
Again, file a motion that has legal merit. Okay.
And none of my attorneys ever filed a motion with any legal merit?
They filed a motion on your behalf, the first team, to preclude media coverage, and I issued my ruling according to the law.
This is what
They
happens
filed
when
a
you
motion to
are
have
a
you
child
dressed out,
that never grew up.
not in jail
You
clothes
throw
during hearings like
fits.
this. Okay. That
She's throwing a
is not
fit.
based in law.
Very
I denied
emotionally
that
immature.
motion. So I've ruled on the motions as required by law.
Without any
She doesn't know
kind of
anything about law.
conclusion of law in them, just denied, 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 denied. Does that not show a bias and a prejudice against one single person?
All right. Are you done?
How
You're
many
not going to
times?
recuse yourself?
No, I'm denying your motion.
He denied her motion about denying her
I just
motion.
received, I was handed a
Bro, what are you
motion
doing?
to
You get
suppress
your
all
ass
evidence
handed to you like that.
pertaining to the
Shut up. My gosh. He said, are
I
you
haven't
done?
received that.
Did you probably got a copy of it today or not?
That's
Yeah.
not real
Oh, do
life.
we need to make copies?
How many times did this dude
All
have
right,
to
go ahead and
freaking
make
correct
copies for
you?
the state. I also have a motion to dismiss for non-preservation of crucial evidence.
He,
So make a copy.
he's
I
a,
guess the state can file their
she needs this in life, bro.
response to those.
She's so unhumble and so rude and so immature. And it's, he just,
All right. Anything else for today from the state's perspective,
wow.
Yeah.
from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. We'll see you
Throw a big
in
fit. This is what happens when you don't grow
at
up.
1 p.m.
Yep,
Again,
smile
that's in
around.
this courtroom.
Oh, that is tough. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot believe what we just witnessed. He's so tired of her. Wow. I don't even know what to say. He finally is treating her the way she needs to be. See, here's the thing. He's so mature and understanding, and he's dealing with someone who's frustrating him. He's still keeping his cool. And the best thing you can tell her, like a child, is, are you done now? Now let's move on, because you're throwing a fit and I'm going to handle this like an adult. Are you done? And that just needs, like, she's so angry. what's so delusional, and this is something we're going to dive into later this week. What's so delusional, right, is to believe that you have a case in the first place, that you should even be sitting there representing yourself to defend yourself and say there's no ballistics. You're telling me that there's not a shot in Brandon's car? You're telling me there's not a bullet in his car? You don't even know what planet you're on. And we've been going over this now. This is a very long time, right? This is a very long time of this happening. But the reality is no one has treated her this way, like the judges, and she needs to know. And she just thinks everybody hates her, and it becomes a mental thing of, oh, you don't like me. You don't like me as a person. You don't like my character. No, you're acting horrible. Your behavior and your actions are speaking of your character. Nobody has to do it for you. Nobody has to make you look bad. You look bad for yourself. You make yourself look bad. And the way you speak to a grown man shows that you have a disdain for men. You disdain and have a problem with any type of authority. And that is lawlessness. And that's something that she has always had, I think. But lawlessness is hating any type of order. And guess what? Trait of a psychopath. We'll go over that another time. Not the time to do it right now. But hating anybody that has any type of authority and have a conversation with them and hate them for not taking your crap and not eating your plate of crap. Yeah, are you done now? T-shirts got to come out now. Which we're still, I want you guys to know, everybody who's gotten our merch, we're still trying to get in contact with customer support because it's taking a long time. So we're doing everything we can to figure that situation out, just so you guys know. And I'm working on it again today just to make sure you guys get your merch and everything is good. So that's been something that's been on my mind a lot. But that was insane. That was insane. I can't believe the back and forth that went on that. And a perfect example, I'm learning this, and this is where the healing comes from. Okay. This is where I realize the healing for me finally makes sense. I grew up with this and I'm seeing her do it to other people. So it just gives me the understanding of the other perspective to watch it in third person. I'm like, okay, so I'm not the one that was crazy all that time. You bring up a valid point to her, you tell her something, and then she is literally out of her mind. She doesn't listen to you, and what you say doesn't exist, and what she feels is more important. So her big emotions, her big tsunami of feelings is more important than the reality of what you're telling her. You could say, hey, you really hurt my feelings with what you said earlier. Well, I've taken care of you your whole life, and you wouldn't have been born if I didn't give birth to you. And it's like, how the hell did we get over here on left field? I don't know what you're doing here. So we'll talk more about that stuff as it goes on. It's just like I always try to find the learning moments for us and realizing that there's a lot of lawlessness here. And then there's also just a lot of, a person who's completely emotionally immature and thinks of only themselves. So I just feel, I don't know. I just feel that I'm not going to let her bother me. I'm not going to let it happen. Oh, look at this guy, huh? Oh, I'm the big Jack guy, huh? I'm going to show up and be big and jacked and make fun of your beard. Ray knows I love him. But crazy. I'm out of words for that. The fact that he finally just absolutely took zero crap from her, the fact that she asked him to dismiss himself and leave because he's biased. Holy crap. My mind is blown with that. What the frick just happened? And I hope, you know what? I hope that energy stays though throughout the whole thing, because she still needs to be checked every single day. And again, I've told you guys from before all this started, when it first started, I said, I feel for the judge. I feel for Trina. I feel for everybody, because we are all having to sit in a circle and deal with a person who refuses to do anything about what they've done. Like we're all sitting here because she just wants to fight it for some reason. So that's just what it is. But again, one thing that got me, and I'll tell you this right now, and then we can call it a day, because I love you guys and appreciate you too. But what I was thinking is, it's really interesting to me to watch someone who really feels someone was asking, here's the link. Thank you, Lulu, for putting that up there. It's really interesting to watch someone who has absolutely such an opposite view of reality and was willing to fight for everything to pretend that things didn't happen and even go back on their beliefs. Because if you're truly convicted of something, right, like that's really all we have is the conviction and belief systems that we have. If you're truly convicted of the fact that you think that there were zombies and this and that, and then you backstep all of that, you have no belief, you're just always on the fence and you teeter to whatever makes you feel better. And that's also a trait of psychopath. There's no moral compass there. You have no moral compass. You have no belief system. You are lawless and immature and you don't really care. You can smile through it all. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. And we'll go over that another time. But what a time. I did not expect to laugh just because him treating her like the child that she acts like is exactly what she needs. So, and for him to say, are you done twice? Maybe you should be humble and sit down. What a day, huh? What a day. Oh my gosh. Anyway, guys, I love you. Appreciate you. Like I said, like I always say, I try to keep you guys up to date on Community Tab. If you have questions, if you're wanting to connect or you have anything that you need, just email the askcolbyj@gmail.com and I'll try to get to those emails as fast as I possibly can. But I love you guys. I appreciate you. Again, always try to keep an eye out for the Community Tab. I'll be posting a lot more in there for you guys so you can see what's going on. And then all of our members, they're the ones that get the first looks on everything. They're going to get all the behind the scenes stuff. We're going to be doing vlogs and things of that nature, so they know that that's coming up. And I just want you guys to know that I would try absolute best to keep you up to date when we're going to do a live. I also been posting on X a lot more and on Instagram. So if you follow those platforms, I try to let everybody know, usually ahead of time, way ahead of time, so you guys have time to make it so we can all hang out. But I appreciate you. Love you. Thank you guys. And I will see you very soon.